Good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are joining from. Welcome to my talk at ANZ Serverless Days. My name is Amy, and today I'm here to talk to you about how to build a Quokkabot. So as I said, I'm Amy. I live in Perth, but normally I spend most of my time traveling the world speaking at conferences. I'm a freelance developer, a Twilio champion, Microsoft MVP, and owner of a grey and white border collie. And although I normally work from home, I'm an extrovert, which means that I've spent the last 6 months trying to start a conversation with anyone and everyone. But today I'm here to talk to you about quokkas. For those of you who aren't familiar with quokkas are one of those Australian animals that you probably don't believe really exists. They're only found on a small island about 20 minutes off the coast of Perth and have no natural predators, which means they know no fear and they don't mind getting up close and personal with people. They will also get into any tent that you don't zip properly, especially if you've left food lying around. Now, because they look like they're smiling and they don't mind getting close to people, they take really great selfies. So last year I did a demo at Twilio Superclass in Sydney, back when we were allowed to travel to other cities. And I decided to build a chatbot that would send you pictures of quokkas, because who doesn't love pictures of quokkas? And after talking to one of the Twilio advocates, we then decided to add in some machine learning. And so I then built a quokka identifying chatbot, so you can make sure that what you're looking at is in fact a quokka and not one of Australia's more dangerous creatures. Using Twilio's WhatsApp API, we trigger an Azure function which sends the image to Azure Cognitive Services Custom Vision, which sends the results back to our Azure function and then sends that back to the user via the Twilio WhatsApp API. And we're going to go through and do a live demo, and today you're actually also going to get a chance to test it. So now's the time to install WhatsApp if you want to try this out and don't already have it installed. Now, we hope that my live demo works. So I'm going to start off with a fairly simple Azure function here. Now, one of the really great things about Azure Functions is there's a VS Code extension, which makes it really easy to get started, which will set up a JavaScript HTTP function for you. Now, I've put a couple of things inside of this function to allow it to work with Twilio. So the first thing I've done is I've used the Twilio package. And in that, I'm going to require TWIML, which is the Twilio markup language, which is how they craft their messaging responses. And so then I'm going to craft a messaging response. So I'm going to create a new messaging response. And on that, I'm going to use the message function. And that's how we're going to define the message that I send back to the user. Now, the Twilio using TWIML is actually really great because I don't actually have to be fetching and getting users' details and phone numbers to respond back to them. This will just trigger back to the person who sent it. So don't have to worry about too much of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the message body. And for now, I'm just going to set that to welcome to Quokkabot. And then at the bottom here, I'm going to go through and then finish up the request by sending the message. And one particular thing I want to do is I want to set the content type to text XML because XML is the Twilio markup language that we're using. Now, if this is all working, I can then send a message to Quokkabot, and this should then send me a response back that says welcome to Quokkabot, which it has. So that's pretty cool. So I can even change this. Welcome to Quokkabot. Hang on, I'm going to change this. Hi there, serverless, if I can spell serverless properly, serverless days, ANZ, I'm Quokkabot. Now, I can say hi again. And this should change the message that we get back from Quokkabot, which is pretty cool. And I've still spelled serverless wrong. Okay, So this is pretty cool, but one thing about Quokkabot is because we're doing image recognition, I want to be able to get an image from the user. So the next thing I'm going to do is to change my function to grab any image that they send me. So the first thing that I'm doing for this is I'm going to require a package called query string. Now this is what I'm using to format the response I get back so that I can get the information from the original message. So if you're familiar with doing anything with Express, you're probably using body parser for that one. So query string is the one that I use. It's a JavaScript package that works with Azure functions. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use query string to pass the request body that I get. And what I'm doing is I'm getting a particular property off of this request, which is media URL 0. Which is the URL of the first media item that has been attached to my image, because we start counting at 0. And what I'm going to do is now in the message body, when I say welcome to Quokkabot, I also want to send the URL back to the user. So for now, I can have a look at what that looks like. So now if I send through an image, let's pick an image. Now, if I send through an image, I should now get a URL back and I can have a look at what that looks like. And there we go. It's given me a URL, which if I open that up in a browser, it should show me the image that has been sent through there, which is pretty cool. So this is really useful because when it comes to sending our image through to custom vision, there are two particular ways you can send an image. One is in binary form and one is in URL form. So this made it really easy because I don't have to worry about trying to upload an image somewhere. Twilio has given me a live URL that I can feed directly to custom vision. So managed to get the image and now I want to send it through to custom vision. So I'm going to slightly modify my function, and what I'm also going to do is I'm going to create another function in a separate file, which is Quokka Test, and I'm going to go through that first. So Quokka Test is where I want to send all the information through to custom vision. Now I want to break this out so that this is sort of in a separate file because this is something I'll probably use later on. So here I'm requiring the Cognitive Services Custom Vision Prediction API client. I'm now also having to, so there's been recent changes with this as well. So I now also have to use the Azure MS REST.js package to verify my API credentials. So this is one that you have to use now. I'm going to import a bunch of my environment variables so that I don't accidentally put my API keys in my talk or in my GitHub repository, which definitely only happened once. Pro tip, Twilio is actually really great at recognizing if you've accidentally put your API key in a public GitHub repository. It took less than 5 minutes before I had an email letting me know that I'd done it, and also directly linking through to the documentation for how I could fix that. So that was really cool. So I'm going to get my API key for custom vision, the particular endpoint, so the particular prediction endpoint that I'm using, the project ID for that particular trained model that I'm using, also the particular iteration, so the particular version that I'm using to test against. I'm then going to get my credentials using the API key credentials function from the MS REST.js package, and I'm going to pass those through to the prediction API client. Now I've got another function called custom vision, and in that I want to take an image, which is the URL of the image, and I'm going to use the predictor and the classify image URL function. So as I said, there is an option to give it a URL or a binary image format. So I'm going to be getting a URL, then letting it know what project, what version, and the URL of the image that I want it to test against. If I come back to my main function now, so my main Azure function, so a couple of changes I've made here. So we passed the body in like normal. Now what I've actually done is, instead of just fetching the media URL, what I want to do is I want to double check first that a message does in fact have an image attached to it. And so I'm checking another property, which is num media. And so that will tell me whether or not there is an image attached. Now, for now, we're only able to process one image, which is the first image, but this will check to make sure there's at least one, and it will get the first image. Then I want to get the results back from custom vision, and I'm going to save that into a results variable. And once this is all done, I then want to send a message back to the user, welcome to Quokkabot, to let them know that this has in fact worked. So if I now send an image again, this should send it through to custom vision. And wait for the results. Waiting. There we go. Welcome to Quokkabot. So I can't yet see the results in my image, but this has gone through to custom vision, which I can have a look at here. So what I can then do is I can have a look in custom vision, and I can see the various different predictions that have been made against my image classification model. And in here, I can see any predictions that have recently been made that I haven't categorized and confirmed whether or not they're correct. So here I can see an image that I've sent through, and I can see the results. It has predicted that it is 100% sure that that is not a quokka, which is good because that is not a quokka, that is my dog. So I can see the results in there, and I can see it has successfully gone through to custom vision, which is really good. But I want to be able to send the results back to the user. So that's the next thing I want to go through and do. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to pass the results that I'm getting through from custom vision. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the results as I did before, but this time I'm actually going to do something with them. And so I've created another function which is called Quokka Test, which takes the results object that I get back from custom vision. Now in here, I'm specifically looking for just two particular properties, actually one particular property, which is the predictions. And in that I'm looking at the two tags. Now I only have two tags in this model. It's either a quokka or it's not a quokka. So it's either quokka or negative. In that, I'm having a look. If the tag name is negative, I want to save the probability in the first slot in the array, and if the tag name is quokka, I want to save it in the second slot in the array. So this should then give me I'm then going to return that outcome array, which has two items in it. I know the first one is the negative probability, and the second one is the quokka probability. Now, my custom vision function, rather than returning my whole results object, it's just going to return that outcome array, which has the two pieces of information that I actually need to have a look at. Now, if I go back to my WhatsApp function, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those results and I'm going to run them through another function I have here, which is WhatsApp reply. And I'm going to use this function to craft a message to send back to the user. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to check, first thing I'm doing is I want to format my outcome and my outcome predictions as percentages. And so I have a quokka and a not quokka percentage. Then I want to check, is the first outcome percentage bigger than the second outcome percentage? Remember, we had the negative percentage first. If so, we'll craft a message that says, sorry, doesn't look like that's a quokka, with a little sad face, it's a bit sad that there's no quokka. And it will then let them know the percentage, so the percentage that's quokka and percentage that it's not quokka. If not, we're going to assume that, yes, that looks like a quokka, and then send them back the results anyway. And we're going to return the message at the end of that function. So now using that function, we've crafted a reply, and we're going to set the reply to that message body at the end of it here. So now if I send a picture through, I should then get these results back. Testing. There we go. Nope, that doesn't look like a quokka, but that's pretty sad. And it's let me know that it's 100% sure that that is not a quokka. Now, if I send it a picture of a quokka, let's see if we can find a picture of a quokka. There's a picture of a quokka. And wait for the results to come back. Yep, it's pretty sure that that does in fact look like a quokka. It's 99.92% sure that that is in fact a quokka. Now, if we have a look in our predictions in custom vision as well, we should be able to see this. Yep, there we go. So we can see the new images that I've sent through there as well. Now, in case you don't believe me and you think I might be just tricking you, let's see if we can find a random picture. Here's a pretty cute picture. Send it through. Let's see if we can find another picture of Quokkas. Let's see if we can find some more pictures. There we go. It was pretty sure that was in fact a quokka. Let's see if we can get another picture of a quokka. Copy image. There we go. So we've got a couple of randomly chosen, actually, like these are legitimately randomly chosen. I'm not saying that sarcastically. We've got a couple of randomly chosen images, and yes, it is pretty sure that these are in fact quokkas. So this is pretty cool. And remember, at the end, you'll get a chance to test this out if you still think that I'm lying. So this is pretty cool. We've been able to get the results back from custom vision and send them through to our users. So this is doing pretty well so far, but remember, this did originally start off as something that would allow people to request pictures of quokkas, and I do kind of want to keep that functionality in there. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change my function one more time. This time I'm going to integrate another function that I have here in a separate file, which is Quokkabot. Now, Quokkabot contains most of the functionality of my original bot. Now, the first thing I'm doing is I'm randomly generating a number. Now, this number is somewhere between 0 and 12 because that's how many pictures of quokkas I currently have saved in this bot. And so I'm going to randomly generate a number so that I can generate a particular image to send to them. Now, I've actually expanded on this functionality recently. So the first thing we're actually doing is we're checking if the message that is being sent in contains the word error, issue, or wrong. This allows users to report an incorrect result. So this allows them to go, that's wrong, that's not a quokka, or there was an error, or I've had an issue, or something like that. So super duper advanced AI going on here, otherwise known as an if-else statement and a regex. But this is starting to allow people to let me know that they've got an incorrect result, so I can go through and retrain my image classification model, because it's not perfect. So if the message they sent in contains the word error, issue, or wrong, I'm going to send them I want to set the body of the message to be, thanks for reporting your issue. Here's a picture of a quokka. And I also want to set a particular property to be error, which we're going to have a look at what that does in a second. If not, going further down our if-else statement. If not, I want to check if the message contains the word quokka. Now, if it contains the word quokka, I am assuming that they are asking for a picture of a quokka. Yes, it's not great. They could be saying, don't send me a quokka. Although I don't know why anyone would message Quokkabot and say, don't send me a quokka. So if the message contains the word quokka, I want to set the body of the reply to be, this is a quokka. If all else fails, I actually still want to send them a message, and I want to let them know a bit of information about Quokkabot, how they can use it, and where they can find more information. So I want to set the body to say, welcome to Quokkabot. I can do a bunch of things that have to do with quokkas. If you need a picture of a quokka, ask. Not sure if you've seen a quokka, send a picture and I'll tell you if there's a quokka in it. Now at the end, I want to set the media to be the randomly generated photo that we've got the number for at the top there. So no matter what message they've sent through, if it meets either of any of these options, they should get a picture of a quokka back because everybody needs pictures of quokkas. And I'm going to return the results at the end. Now, if we go back to our original WhatsApp function, where I'm pulling in this Quokkabot functionality. Now, the first thing that I'm doing when I start to do this is I'm checking. Remember, I did check body.num media, so whether or not there's any images or media items attached to the message. Now, the first thing I'm doing is checking, is there an image? If there's an image, then I'm assuming they want to send that through to the image classification model. So if there's an image, I send the results through to custom vision and then craft my message reply based on the results that I get back. I'm then also checking, so as part of the Quokkabot, I do also want to check if it doesn't have a quokka in it, I want to send them a picture of a quokka because it's really sad. Everyone should have pictures of quokkas. Now, if there's no image being attached, I then want to send through to the Quokkabot function, which we just went through, and that's then going to have a look at the actual text of the message that's being sent. So whether or not they're reporting an error, whether they're asking for a picture of a quokka, or if it doesn't meet either of those requirements, we want to let them know how they can use Quokkabot. And I want to set the message body and then also the message media based off of that. Then at the end, we're going to send the message through. And so now let's give this a test. If I send in a message. Now, what this should do is this should let me know that, there we go, welcome to Quokkabot. I can do a bunch of things that have to do with quokkas. And it lets me know how I can use that. I can ask, can I have a quokka? Now, this should also send me through a different image because we're randomly generating a number each time. There we go. Can I have another quokka? And this should send me a different picture of a quokka this time, because we all need more quokkas. Yay, there's another quokka. And if I send through a picture, this should still send it through to custom vision. Let's see if we can find a different picture of a quokka to send. And this should send it through to custom vision and should let me know whether or not there's a quokka in the photo. And yep, it's pretty sure that looks like a quokka. And it's really great because even though I have a picture of a quokka, it has still sent me a picture of a quokka because everybody needs more quokkas in their life right now. So this is really exciting. This does everything that we wanted it to do. So as I said at the start, this is now running on Azure Functions. If anybody is interested in having a look at how this is set up, I'll give you details for how you can find the GitHub at the end as well. Cool, live demo worked. Now, if you don't believe, if you think I've completely rigged this, which is even easier to do now that we're recording the talks, although I know it's easier, but that just seems like a lot of effort to do. So I promise you, I haven't rigged this, but if you still don't believe me, you can scan this QR code on your phone with WhatsApp installed, and it will send a message. It will allow you to send a message through to Quokkabot. You can also use the link at the bottom of the screen, which is the WhatsApp link, or you can just grab the WhatsApp number directly from that link as well. If you want more quokkas or want to know more about Quokkabot, you can go to quokkas.amyscapers.dev. That includes the QR code and the WhatsApp details for if you would like to get in touch with Quokkabot. It also includes information about how else you can get in touch with Quokkabot if you don't want to use WhatsApp. For example, Quokkabot is also available on email. So you can email in pictures of Quokkas, and that works similarly to the WhatsApp one, but using the SendGrid API to trigger an Azure function to send through to cognitive services. This also has more detailed information about how Quokkabot was built, so the particular technology that we used for grab. So this has more information about the technology that we used to build Quokkabot and the serverless functionality, as well as how we recently moved Quokkabot over to use Azure Static Web Apps, which allowed us to create a static site, which is this website, with the API on Azure Functions. So that's a cool one to check out more about how we built the serverless functions in Quokkabot. Thank you everybody for coming along to my talk today. It's been really great to get to talk at Serverless Days. Hopefully I might get to do it again in person sometimes. Hope you've enjoyed the talk, and hopefully I might get to see you all in real life sometime in the future. Thank you.